Hello, this is a brief introduction about fractions, ratio, proportions, and percentages. These are very important terms in mathematics that you can't do without. But first, let's look at what is a fraction. A fraction is a part of a whole or a group, and it is expressed as a number on top of another number separated by a line, a straight line or a slanted line. The number on top is called the numerator, while the number below is called the denominator. An example of a fraction is 3/4. This 3 represents the number of parts, and it is called the numerator, while this 4 represents the number of equal parts the whole has been divided into, and that is called the denominator. So let's look at a quick example to explain that. This is one whole apple, represented as 1. Now I have this apple. This apple has been divided into 2. Now, I've divided it into 2 equal parts, and that is why my denominator is represented by 2, because it's the number of parts that the whole has been divided into. And this one will represent each portion of this apple. And that is why a fraction is a part or a portion of a group or a portion of a whole. So that is what fraction represents. So each part now, let's say this one now, can be written as 1 all over 2, and I have separated the numbers here with a straight line. Another example, we have 8 stars here, 1 green star, 4 yellow stars, and 3 pink stars. Now, how many green stars do we have? 1 out of 8, and this is the fraction. 1 out of 8 stars is green. Now I have 4 yellow stars. 4 out of 8 stars are yellow. This can be written in the smallest form as a 1 out of 2. Now then we have 3 out of the 8 stars are pink. So a fraction, what fraction of these stars is green? 1 out of 8. Likewise yellow, 4 out of 8. And for pink we have 3 out of 8. There are different types of fraction. A fraction can be a proper fraction, it could be an improper fraction, or a mixed fraction. Now we have a proper fraction when the numerator is less than the denominator, and I think that's quite logical. When the number on top, which is the numerator, is lesser than the number below, which is the denominator, we call it a proper fraction, because 3 is less than 8. You can have as many examples as you can think of, so long as the numerator is lesser than the denominator. Now it becomes an improper fraction if the numerator is greater than the denominator, which means that the number on top is greater than the number below. And I think it's quite illogical to put an 100 kg rice on a 50 kg bag, or you make a 20-year-old woman sit on a 2-year-old girl. So when the numerator is greater than the denominator, we call it an improper fraction. And that is why we have another group of fractions called mixed fractions. Mixed fractions contains a whole number and a proper fraction, and they are always resulting from an improper fraction, because we cannot leave our answers in mathematics as an improper fraction. So converting an improper fraction gives another type of fraction called a mixed fraction, and that has a whole number and a proper fraction. So this 8/3 here can be rewritten as 2 whole number 2/3, because 3 can go in 8 in 2 places. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, remainder 2 whole over 3. So keep it in mind. When you are doing calculations in mathematics, your answers has to always be in either a proper fraction or a mixed fraction. So what is a ratio? When a fraction is a part or a portion of a whole, a ratio compares the relative values of 2 numbers or quantities. And these numbers, called terms of a ratio, are usually separated by a column. And a colon. You must have seen such numbers. We have read as 2/4, 1/2, or what have you. So we have 4 houses and 2 cars here. The ratio of cars to houses is 2:4, or you can say 1:2. What this is trying to tell us is we have 2 cars and we have 4 houses. Now reducing this to the smallest form can be written as 1:2, which means from every car there are 2 houses. So if I was going to write what fraction of this our cars, I would have written 2 out of 6. But because a ratio compares the relative quantities of the relative values of 2 quantities or number, the ratio of cars to houses is 2 to 4. I can as well say the ratio of houses to car is 4 to 2. So keep that in mind. Here is another example. We have 5 pencils here. The ratio of red to pink pencil is 3 to 2. I have 3 red pencils and I have 2 pink pencils. I can also say the ratio of pink to red pencils is 2 to 3. So while a fraction tells us the part or portion of about the part or portion of a whole, a ratio compares the values of 2 quantities or numbers. So a proportion is an equation with 2 equal ratios. We have a proportion when 2 ratios are equal. So when A ratio A to B equals to C ratio D, we say we have a proportion. Here is an example. 1 ratio 2 equals to 2 ratio 4. Now here I have 3 balls. I have 1 red ball and 2 black balls, written as 1 ratio 2. The ratio of red to black balls is 1 to 2. Here I have 2 red balls and 4 black balls. The ratio of red balls to black balls is 2 to 4. Yes, these numbers are different, but we can say they are proportionate, because when you reduce this to the simplest form, it also gives you 1 to 2. Because what this is saying is for every 2 red balls, for every 1 red ball, there are 2 black balls, just as we have here. For every 1 red ball, there are 2 black balls. And I think we use proportion in almost everything we do, especially when you are cooking. If I use 1 cup of salt for 1 Congo of rice, how many cups of salt should I use for 2 Congos of rice? Because we are trying to, so as to ensure that the combination of salt to rice is in proportion. Another quick example is if sand and cement must be combined in 2 ratio 1 to build a house, or let's say 3 ratio 4, the ratio of cement to sand 3 to 4. That means if I have 30 kilograms of cement, I must use 40 kilograms of sand. Then if I'm using 120 kilograms of, let's say 90 kilograms of cement, that means I must use 120 kilograms of sand. So that's what proportion is talking about. When we have 2 equal ratios, we say we have a proportion. Now to percentages. A percentage is a special ratio of fraction or proportion that compares any number to 100, with 100 representing a whole. So we can say a percentage is a ratio or a fraction or a proportion whose denominator is 100. Remember I said a ratio compares the relative values of 2 quantities or number. But here a percentage compares everything to 100. In fact, cent in Latin means 100 and per means out of 100. So we are comparing everything to 100. What portion or what proportion or what fraction of it is it out of 100? And that has made comparison a lot easier across globe, anything you want to do, as long as you put it against 100, is easier to understand and to compare 2 quantities. For instance, now I have 25% here. 25% can be written as 25 over 100, which is equals to 1 out of 4. Which is equals to 1 out of 4. Now, 1 out of 4 in fraction means 1 out of 4. This can also be written as 1 ratio 4, also in proportion as 1 to 4. So, but 25% already tells us 25 out of 100. So when you want to convert a number from a percentage to decimal or fraction or what have you, divide by 100. When you want to convert a fraction or a ratio or proportion to a percentage, you multiply by 100. So if to say a student gets 50% out of his examination score or something, it doesn't matter what the denominator is, as long as we know it's 50%. For instance, you can say he got 50% and the test score was marked all over 60. 50% of 60 will be written as 50 all over 100 multiplied by 60. While someone else can have the same 50%, but its exam was marked all over 80. So we have 50 or all over 100 multiplied by 80, which is actually 40 marks out of 80, and this person got 30 marks out of 80. So regardless of what the individual denominator of the fraction or the ratio or the proportion is, we can bring it to a common level for comparison by using percentages. And this is just an introduction to fractions, ratio, proportions, and percentages. Like I've said, you can watch out for more videos on how to do calculations involving these terms, how to solve more word problems, and how to calculate percentage gain or loss on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel at Palm Tutors. Thank you very much, and catch you later.